I know, another day. Been a while. No good weather. My family away. Not worth catching fish for myself. Not the best day, but we'll take it as it comes. I can see some waves over at Old Woman, but nothing here. I think it's a bit westerly, a bit south. That's probably knocking off the swell. So why did I decide to go fishing on Friday the 11th, Remembrance Day? And we had a run of wind strength that I'm not comfortable in. I prefer 5 knots to 10, or less than 5, I can get it. And running out from Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it was only by Friday the wind's dropping down to 5 to 10 knots. There was an indication it would come up a bit in the afternoon. That was a consideration. Earlier was probably better, but I tend to like fishing in the middle of the day now. I seem to catch enough fish then, and it's very comfortable. I've noticed that the wind seems to drop off in the middle of the day out of these local conditions about here. So that was the first indicator of my interest in going fishing on the 11th, was a run of high winds dropping off. And we'll look at the swell and that in a minute as well. This high wind keeps the boats away, allows the reef to recover a little in terms of getting recruitment. And you want to hit it just after that wind blows. Direction also is a bit important. Southwest a bit, actually. Now it's coming from the east, northeast, northeast. So the second feature, I do like wind coming from the southeast, although it's not critical. Cloud cover is also mildly relevant. I've noticed that the more cloud cover, the better the fishing. You can also see the wind trends from the Bureau of Meteorology, the bomb site, and this is retrospectively for November 2022. And one can see I went out here on this date when in the morning it was supposed to be recording 11 kilometers an hour, and the previous days you see that it was substantially more. And in the afternoon, on the 11th, it was supposed to be 17. Direction, southeast, is my preferred direction in the morning anyway. Probably the second most important information I look at is the swell height. And on the 11th, we can see the significant wave height dropping down. The significant wave height was about, when I went out that's right, about 1.2, dropping down to about 1 meter. Although bigger sets did come through, that's true. During the time I was out there was up to 2 meters, and there was a little bit of swell at the bar. If the significant wave height reaches, well, 1.5 really, or 1.8, I wouldn't go out. The other feature, which is secondary but relevant, is the periodicity of the waves. It looks to me here we've got the wave period at 10 seconds. You don't want them at 5 seconds or at 4 seconds. That's really choppy. The other data I consider are the synoptic charts. Usually I look at them to forecast the weather ahead a few days. Our weather patterns seem to be a series of high pressure systems going from west to east gradually. In summer, the high pressure systems tend to keep lower. In winter, they come up higher, and we get those beautiful high pressure systems sitting right over our site in winter. But for now, they'll be lower, and the opportunity for fishing will be between systems, between high pressure systems, or between a high and a low. That tends to sometimes give us calm weather in the zone. I don't particularly look forward to fishing when there's a low pressure system around. It seems to make the seas choppy. I think there's wind being drawn in, shooting up, giving us the low pressure system. It's unstable. So really, I use this more to forecast rather than to make operational decisions on the day. So these are the moon phases for November. The 11th was a few days after the full moon. I don't really pay a lot of attention to the moon phases. I mean, it's nice if good weather aligns with within a few days of the full or new moon. But even if it's the neeps, I'm happy to go. I think marginally it's better with the bigger tides around the moons, but I don't use them to decide when to go fishing. That's more about the wind and sea conditions. So there are also fishing almanacs, this particular one, tides for fishing, and you can look at it. Here it can show the high tide in the morning, low tide, and it'll show you when it considers you'll catch fish. I don't really pay a lot of attention to the tides. I mean, it's nice if you can fish on the top of the tide or the bottom of the tide. However, I'm more interested in fishing in low wind. I'll take the tide as it comes. There's also an overall ranking for the 11th compared with other days. So this is around the moon, full moon, 3 fish day, and Friday was supposed to be on the 11th, a 1 fish day. I'd also consider, to some degree, ocean currents. I'm fishing in here, and I really don't want very strong currents ripping through here, otherwise it's very problematic. I fish very light 20-pound line, very light weights and things, so it's very problematic if I have a strong current. So this was the forecast for the day using this particular website, indicating at 8 o'clock, 10, 11, going forward to about 10. I think I went out about 10. Let's see what we have here. Yes, it did drop off a bit. This was the forecast. And then by 12, it was fine. I say that was about right. Perfect. Coming from the east a bit. By about 2, it was picking up a little. No, maybe in there somewhere. And then by about 5, when I was thinking of, yeah, well, it did get up a bit. The other feature is the run home. I don't mind running with a bit of weather. It's not the same as pounding into the weather. I would have used this site or a similar site just before I went out to have a bit of a check of the weather. Actually, the site that I would normally have used is this site. Now that's for today. It won't go back, but I would put a mark there, and then I would bring up a whole range of different models. There we go. So I'd be looking for something like, well, better than that, but all of the different models, GFS, ECM, WF, all of these guys to give me a bit of an indication that looks right actually to go out. I don't mind the westerlies pushing out. Actually, that's quite fishable. As long as those westerlies hold, that's quite fishable. So anyway, that's another site. This is probably the site that I would use most of all, and the site, but it doesn't go backwards, so I can't show you the weather for Friday. The other one was the good old sea breeze, and I can't see what was going on, but I'll be looking for this sort of pattern here, low wind. And also I love this, about a metre swell, that's great. Period, wave period, about 10 seconds, that's nice. Oh, there's the moon here. So this would be a site I'd use just to sort of have an indication if there's some good weather coming up, but then I would drill into those other sites to get more information. To conclude, number 1, it's wind. I don't like wind. So wind about 5 knots if I can get it. 10 I'll take. Swell 1.5 max up to 1 metre. Tops. Wind south, southeast. Nice. I'll go on the westerlies, that's not too bad, and all those other bits and pieces that we've already looked at to give a tick to go. So on this day, on the 11th, it was a tick, and I went, and let's see how it all turned out for me.